Hello, my fellow cigar lovers. Thank you for being here. Today I want to take the opportunity to talk about the new Diesel Delirium. Now, Diesel is an interesting brand because it originally started as an internet catalog brand, and then in 2017 it started being developed for brick and mortar. And Justin Andrews, the senior brand manager, was very instrumental in developing blends that were unique, and we used different collaborators and kind of set itself apart from the rest of the brands in our general portfolio. For those of you who are not familiar with some of other brands, we do Macanudo, Punch, Partagas, CAO, Cohiba, La Gloria Cubana, Hoy de Monterey, so a whole host of different brands. And Diesel has really deviated out of the box and started coming out with just these fun, intense, innovative blends, and I personally am here for it. So Justin has done a fantastic job, and I'm very excited to see how we continue to innovate with it moving forward. So right off the bat, I will tell you guys that this cigar produces so much smoke. So if you are into a cigar that has that very billowy smoke quality, the Diesel Delirium is definitely for you. I mean, I'm barely even puffing, and you've got just so much smoke coming from it. And the name Delirium is pretty indicative of what you should expect from that blend. Like, it's intense, it's strong, it's crazy, a little mind-bending. And Justin himself kind of talked about the cigar being disruptive, and that it is. He also noted that it's a cigar that is worth sitting down and really focusing on, that it requires your full attention. And I agree 100%. I've talked about it in some of my past videos about certain cigars being appropriate for certain scenarios, and this is definitely a cigar that I would smoke after dinner, or if I want to sit down and pair a cocktail with. I wouldn't smoke it in the morning, I wouldn't smoke it on an empty stomach, I wouldn't smoke it while doing lawn work or in a group with my friends when I wasn't really paying attention to it. This is truly something you want to sit down on your couch, listen to a great album, pair a wonderful drink, and enjoy what the blend has to offer. And it's also worth noting that this blend in particular is an AJ Fernandez collaboration. So if you're familiar with other AJ Fernandez blends, he's kind of got that signature flavor stamp. And that comes from a proprietary fermentation process. So you can expect something complex and spicy coming out of the AJ factory, which this is. So the blend on it, we used an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. We are using a Connecticut broadleaf binder, and then a blend of different Nicaraguan tobaccos for the filler. One in particular, which is Ometepe. Now, Ometepe is one of my absolute favorite growing regions. There are 2 active volcanoes on the island in Lake Nicaragua, and Ometepe loosely translates to 2 peaks, which is those 2 volcanoes. So the soil is very nutrient dense and rich and yields a very flavor forward tobacco. So the Nicaraguan tobaccos in the filler are also, it's not short of Ligero, which is going to aid in the strength of it. Now, Ligero is typically associated with yielding a stronger cigar, which is correct. But the issue is Ligero on its own can have a little bit more of a bite to it, and it doesn't necessarily lend to the complexity of the cigar, which is why you need other tobaccos in there. In addition to that, Ligero is very thick, it's very oily, it's grown at the top of the plant. So because of more sun exposure, yielding a thicker, oilier leaf, it just on its own does not smoke very well. So in addition to needing other tobaccos to kind of balance out the flavor, you also need it for the combustion quality. And I'm sure that you guys can see this is still smoking very well despite my chattiness on this video. I started smoking the cigar maybe about 15-20 minutes before starting the video. It's a standard Toro size, 6x52, but I have not had to touch it up at all. And so you're getting the strength that you would expect from a Ligero heavy cigar, but you're still getting a ton of character, a ton of complexity, so much dimension. I very much enjoy spicy food, but I don't want my food to be so spicy that I can't pick up any other flavors. And this cigar does a really good job of balancing out that spice with the other flavors. So you're getting a little bit of cedar, some molasses, some cocoa notes, some coffee notes. You know, you get the nuttiness to it. There's of course pepper. Overall, I would say it is a spicy cigar, but it definitely is a spicy cigar with a lot of flavor. And it's very full-bodied on a 10 or on a 1 to 10 scale. For strength, I would definitely put this at a 9, if not 10. It's not something just from its strength alone that I would reach for on a regular basis, simply because I tend to be a more medium plus smoker. That's sort of my sweet spot. But the cigar is not lacking in interest, character, or flavor. And I also had a big lunch, so this is fine by me. If I was going to pair this with a drink, I would say either like an aged spice rum. I think that would be great because you get a little bit of the sweetness from the rum. It kind of tones down the pepper in the cigar, but also like a coffee stout, particularly a nitro coffee stout. It's smooth, it's creamy. There are some subtle coffee notes in the cigar that I think the coffee stout would highlight. And it's definitely not a cigar that you can pair with everything. There's some cigars that are kind of in that mid-range, fairly subtle flavors, or, you know, medium bodied, that, you know, whether you pair it with a red wine, a heavier beer, a lighter beer, a scotch, a vodka, whatever. Like the Inspirato Orange is a really good example of that, kind of as a cigar that you can pair with everything. But the Delirium definitely needs to be paired with something that is going to be able to hold its own next to the cigar. So kind of that heavier beer or that very flavor forward rum. I myself am a Moscow Mule drinker, but I would not pair a Moscow Mule with this for a host of different reasons, both that the Moscow Mule is a little bit lighter in flavor. I think it has a little bit too much sweetness, and this cigar really deserves to be paired with something that it's going to sit well with, and that rum or that stout I think would definitely do it justice. So the album I would listen to while smoking this cigar would be Pearl by Janis Joplin. Now, Janis Joplin as an artist was a little disruptive, and this is perfectly circling back and relating to this cigar being disruptive. I think there's enough uniqueness on that album and song variation where sometimes it's a little bit more subdued, like the song A Woman Left Lonely, and you can kind of chill out, enjoy the flavors that you're experiencing from the cigar, but it's a fun album. Janis Joplin's an incredible artist, her voice is amazing, and there's really a lot going on, both from the vocal standpoint, the instrumental standpoint, the production standpoint, and that's kind of how I feel about this cigar. There's a lot of different things all kind of coming together to make it the fantastic blend that it is. It's actually been quite some time since I've smoked this cigar. We released it in early March. It is a limited production, only 5,000 boxes, but I had this one back at our sales meeting in January, and I remember it being stronger, but I didn't remember any of the flavor notes in particular, so I thought this would be kind of a fun exploration to really dive into the flavors I'm experiencing as I smoke it. Yeah, some of the coffee, a little molasses, a little cedar, of course, pepper, but I'm very, very impressed with the blend, and quite honestly, I'm very impressed with the way that Diesel is going. Justin has taken great strides to make sure that this brand is not only getting the attention that it deserves, but also backing it with just unique processes and great collaborations like AJ Fernandez. So another cool one from Diesel is the Whiskey Row. There's the original Whiskey Row as well as the Sherry Cask. So we actually paired with Rabbit Hole and used some of their bourbon barrels to age that tobacco, which is going to kind of lend that a little bit of those bourbon notes and like that cedar sweetness without it being infused. So I'm really excited to see how the innovation for Diesel continues in the future. All right, I'm gonna give this cigar some ratings. So let's start with smoke production because I feel like I can barely even see the camera because of how much smoke is coming off of this cigar. And that is fantastic. I love a cigar with a ton of smoke. So 10 out of 10, it is a smoky cigar. As far as construction goes, 10 out of 10, no doubt. Like I said, I've been smoking the cigar now for about 25 minutes. I haven't had to touch it up at all. It's holding an ash very, very well. In fact, I only ashed it before this video because I wanted to make sure that I did not ash on myself as I was producing this. So you can see that beautiful, consistent ash that's just holding so, so well. So construction, definitely 10 out of 10. It's got that beautiful oily wrapper. That Ecuador and Sumatra is wonderful in kind of toning down and balancing out the spice from that Ligero filler. And now flavor is very subjective. I tend to not like a super full-bodied cigar overall or anything that is going to be too spicy. But again, this cigar, it's spicy, but it's not unpleasant to smoke. I mean, there's so much character to it that even though it does have the pepper, it's still very much letting those other natural flavors shine through. So simply for my own personal opinion of not liking a full-bodied, spicier cigar every day, all day, I would give this a 9 out of 10 for flavor. But if you guys are looking for something that packs a punch, that's going to pair well with your favorite beer or your favorite rum, hey, even scotch, I would highly recommend this Diesel Delirium. And I can't wait to see what comes out from Diesel in the future. So turn on some Janis Joplin, pour yourself a coffee stout, light up a Diesel Delirium, and stay smoky. If you guys have any questions about the cigar in particular, please put it in the comments section, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I am.